Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Hearing and the early years, an overview of sensory development. This video is an introduction to hearing development. This video contains the following sections: anatomy and function. This will be about how the ear works and how sound reaches the brain. Developmental milestones. These are important points in a child's development related to hearing that typically correspond with certain age ranges. Signs of delay. These signs may be an indication of hearing loss or something else and may warrant further exploration. Fostering development. Some simple methods to help a child in their hearing development. Before we dive into this information, feel free to take notes, screenshots, or pause the video at any time. The developmental milestones and fostering development sections have corresponding handouts in the Early Years tab on the Illinois Sound Beginnings website. I will show you how to find those now in case you want to print them out or look at them when we arrive to that section in the video. So you will go to illinoissoundbeginnings.org as it is put on the screen up here, and you will go over to the Providers tab and go down to where you see the early years. The developmental milestones are in the learning section along with the videos. Fostering development handouts are in the activities section. Anatomy and function. Here is a diagram of the ear's structure. It shows the parts that make up the ear. The structure of the ear is broken up into three separate parts: the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. The outer ear catches the sound, the middle ear moves sound, and the inner ear converts sound to a signal for the brain, in addition to maintain our balance. Although our ears are relatively small, they have a big job of informing us of the world around us. This next video explains the journey of sound to the brain.
Ever wondered how sound make their way from the source all the way to your brain? Take a trumpet, for instance. When it's played, it makes sound waves in the ear. The outer ear catches the waves, which then travel through a narrow passageway called the ear canal. The sound waves reach the eardrum, which is a membrane roughly half the size of a dime. They make the eardrum vibrate, which in turn vibrates three tiny bones called the malleus, incus, and stapes. These bones amplify or increase the sound vibrations and send them to the cochlea. The cochlea is shaped like a snail and is the size of a garden pea. It is filled with fluid, and the sound vibrations make this fluid ripple, which creates waves. Hair-like structures called stereocilia sit on top of hair cells and are grouped together as hair cell bundles inside the cochlea. The hair cells inside the cochlea ride these waves, and the hair bundles are moved. The hair bundle on top of the hair cell turns these movements into electrical signals. As the hair bundles are moved, ions rush into the top of the hair cells, causing the release of chemicals at the bottom of the hair cells. The chemicals bind to the auditory nerve cells and create an electrical signal, which travels along the auditory nerve to the brain. Different hair cells respond to different frequencies of sound. The hair cells at the base of the cochlea detect higher-pitched sounds, such as a piccolo or flute. The hair cells toward the top of the spiral detect progressively lower-pitched sounds, such as a trumpet or trombone. At the very top or apex of the spiral, the hair cells detect the lowest-pitched sounds, such as a tuba. The auditory nerve carries the electrical signal to the brain, which interprets the messages as sounds that we recognize and understand.
Video was used with permission from the National Institute of Health. Developmental milestones. So next we're going to look at the developmental milestones related to hearing. This video can be paused at any time to take a closer look at the lists. You can also find the milestones in a printer-friendly format. There are many different developmental milestones, and expectations vary across professions and assessment tools. This list was developed from multiple national organizations and is used throughout the Early Years Project. To reference our sources, visit the Early Years Project on Illinois Sound Beginning's website under the Development section. Please continue to use the milestone expectations most relevant to you and your organization. Hearing milestones refer to changes in the behavioral response to sound and communication attempts as the child grows and matures. Milestones are indicators of individual development, providing valuable insight into the progression of skills across various domains. They help us track growth and identify potential areas that may require attention or intervention. Hearing milestones, birth to 9-month age range. This includes things such as reacting to loud sounds and moving eyes and the head to localize or search for sounds. In the 9 to 12-month age range, a baby will likely be able to try to communicate with actions, gestures, or signs. Also, between 9 and 12 months, a baby will likely begin turning towards you when you call their name. Hearing milestones, 1 to 3 years. From ages 1 to 2, a baby will likely enjoy being read to, be able to point to objects when you name them, such as ball and cup, and follow simple directions without gestures, such as stop. From ages 2 to 3, a toddler will most likely be able to answer simple questions about a story, learn new words very quickly, and begin to use past tense verbs such as walked, though they will often make mistakes with the regular past tense verbs, so they might say something like runned instead of ran. Hearing milestones, 3 to 4 years. Between ages 3 and 4, strangers will start to understand the majority of a child's speech. Toddlers will begin understanding and enjoying poems and silly jokes like, okay, let's put the diaper on your head now. Hearing milestones, 4 to 6 years. Between 4 and 5 years old, a toddler will use somewhere between 200 and 300 words. They will also use consonants in the beginning, middle, and end of words, although they may not pronounce everything correctly. Between 5 and 6 years old, a child will be able to participate in conversations and use longer sentences. Signs of delay. The delay is identified by a professional through observation, assessment, and comparison to typical developmental milestones for a child's age. Here is a list of potential signs of delay related to hearing loss. Remember, between 1 and 2 years old, a toddler will start using softer sounds such as p, b, m, and w sounds in words. If they aren't saying them, they may not be hearing them. Signs of delay are not one size fits all, nor can a child be diagnosed using this list. But if a parent, grandparent, or caregiver sees ongoing concerns and signs of an auditory delay, a healthcare professional should be contacted for further evaluation. Fostering development. These are some activities that you can do with children to help their development related to hearing.
The majority of brain development occurs in the first few years of life. Stimulating experiences, nurturing relationships, and a supportive environment are essential for the formation of neural connections that underlie all aspects of development, including cognitive, emotional, and social skills.
The skills developed during the early years greatly influences a child's well-being and academic success. Fostering development through interactions and play can help a great deal during this time of rapid growth. Here are some simple things that can be done to help foster development of hearing and listening skills at any age. Follow a daily routine for your little one. Routines help all children cooperate because knowing that their needs will be met helps feelings of comfort. Another great thing to do is to read to children on a regular basis, starting very early on. All exposure to language and communication helps develop needed skills. Fostering development birth to 1-year-old. Responding to your baby when they make noise. This teaches them that their sounds have meaning and value. Another helpful thing to do when you are with your baby is to talk all the time. Narrate your day, describe what you are doing, what you see, hear, feel, everything. Just increase the access to language. Fostering development 1 to 2 years. So some things that you can do are when you read to your child, talk about the pictures on the page. You don't necessarily have to read out everything in the text, especially if it's long, but talking to them about the pictures that they see in the book is really helpful, and it helps them create a dialogue. And they may not answer questions at first, but they will over time. And make sure that you use short sentences and words that your child can imitate. Fostering development 2 to 4 years. For 2 to 3-year-olds, we should do our best to speak clearly, like I just didn't. They model their speech after us, so it's important that we use correct speech. Practicing counting is also really helpful for them. We can count their fingers, toes, their steps while we're going for a walk, pieces of a favorite snack, anything really. From 3 to 4 years old, try to incorporate as many of these activities as often as you can. Fostering development 5 to 6 years. Talk about opposites where things are, like use words first, last, behind, right, left, and different categories that you can sort into. Keep teaching your child new words. Don't simplify your language just because they might not know a word. They can figure out a lot from context. So you can always pause and explain what the word means. We have other modules available for viewing in the following developmental domains: vision, communication, language.
Scan the QR code to go directly to the Early Years Project on the Sound Beginnings website. The Early Years Project is a collaboration with the Early Hearing Detection and Intervention, or EDI, program.
And if you guys don't mind, please take our brief survey. Parents, please go to this one over here, and providers, do this one as well. This just helps us tailor the needs to the people who are viewing our information. Thank you so much.